This meeting is called to order at 6:32 p.m. Move to accept the minutes of last week's meeting as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes of last week are approved. Okay, payroll we've done, vendors we've done, correspondence filed. Where is that file anyway?
That's right. Here, you can sign these while you're waiting. Is it all old or is there new?
No, there was some new stuff that has to be just approved.
Okay.
There's other stuff in there.
Okay, we have invoice from Graham and Graham. This is for the forensic audit. Is this a final?
No, that's his first
Oh,
payment
okay.
last week.
That's $536, so move that we pay that.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Why is this? I thought the first one was gonna be the $2,500.
Well, that's for the first phase of the audit. That's just his first installment on that 25.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we have the letter to Patricia and Brad
There.
Hunter.
There, those are the
This-
new ones
New what?
from that folder that you
Oh,
have
okay.
in your hand.
All right. This is the letter that Brad wanted detailing all the things that he needs to get a building permit. So if anybody wants to read that, it's in this folder. Everything else is old. So, okay, this is a building permit for, I can't read it. For 1 Barrett Street, Caleb and Sybil Hall. Did you read that, please? Out loud, I meant.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what they're doing. Caleb,
That's the
they,
same.
says we are building
Okay.
ourselves extension of pre-existing deck by 6 feet. We are the owners of the abutting property too. They actually drew on the tax card the extension of the 6 feet.
Mhm. Okay, so Curtis, would you please review that and make sure that it meets all of the requirements
Okay.
before we sign off on it? And then this other one is for them as well.
All right.
Okay, old business. First one, waiting on the nuisance ordinance. Second one, waiting on Attorney Hawkinsmith. Anything new there?
No,
Okay.
no.
Nuisance ordinance, job descriptions, anything to add, Curtis?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm just compiling everything now.
Forensic audit, Mr. Graham will be back at 6:28. Need to clean out storage upstairs. What does that mean?
He found some stuff in the Home Depot and Hamshaw slips that from 2014.
Yeah,
So we gotta pull that whole closet, all the boxes out, pull other invoices.
okay. And you're taking care of that? Yeah, thank you. Okay, CDC, no smoking at the Samuel E. Paul Community Center.
I got an email from Jane Scanty today. I forgot it in my truck, actually. And she said that she listened to our minutes. She see that we approved it. And I'm just going to respond to her email saying that what we want on the signs and approximately how many. And then she also said that we can go as far as enforcement. And she sent in an attached file for Ringe. Ringe's ordinance or Ringe's, I didn't actually read it yet, but if we want to go as far as putting a fine in, we can actually follow through with how Ringe's set up.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance. I got it earlier today and I was at work, so I didn't get a chance to actually read through it all the way, but
Okay,
I will print it off and I will bring in Ringe's for next week.
okay. But is she able to get the signs the way we wanted them with the added line?
Yeah, she can make them that way, and she want to know if we have a logo or not a logo, like a picture if we want to put something on it
Okay,
with the signs.
I don't think we want to do that, do you?
Just make it more specific to the town of
Clutters,
Troy.
clutters it. What do you think, Barb? For the no smoking signs?
I don't know, I think no smoking should be as
Simple.
large as possible and, yeah, to the point.
Okay,
I don't think it's a place for all of them.
right.
Okay, well, she said that she has examples, that she can bring some in, and we can look at the examples if we want,
Okay,
Oh, all right, that's fine.
so.
all right, okay, next, mill tax cut. Okay, got a lot to cover on that. We talked last week about why we sent them the bill, and it came back to us because they were treating it as if we were a creditor. And I was going to contact them and say, no, we're not a creditor, we're billing you for taxes. But other things have popped up. First thing is, Tim? Hi.
Yep.
And Deb, right? Last week, Tim and Debbie met Jim Gillis over by the mill, had a conversation with him and came back with a business card. So on the following afternoon, I called him and I told him the background of the mill, including the original bankruptcy of Troy Mills, Inc. Told him about the liens, about what happened with Troy Redevelopment Group, the subsequent bankruptcy, and the uncertainty about current ownership. He told me that he was in the area last week to attend a birthday party at East Hill Farm, where some of his family members were spending the weekend. His father-in-law is a real estate attorney, and his father-in-law had shown him the mill, or told him about it. He lives in New Orleans. He owns several properties, including a coffee plantation in Puerto Rico. And he's looking for a facility in the Northeast, something that is central to both Boston and New York. Coffee beans will be brought in green condition in 100-pound bags, roasted on site, and repackaged for wholesale distribution. He asked me to send him an information packet, which we put together, and we got out we had it the next afternoon and went out the following morning. He had four concerns, actually. One, he said that the ownership had to be settled before he could do anything with it. And we'll have some information on that in just a moment. The price must be reasonable. He would like the town to grant a temporary reprieve of property taxes, but we didn't discuss that in detail, but that's a common thing when you're trying to attract a business, where you'd say for a certain period of time you won't be taxed on it. And he would like assurances that there would be no state taxes on his sales. So I explained that New Hampshire meals and room tax, which is the only one that would come into, the only one that we really have, that only applies to meals served and not to the wholesale distribution of a food product. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. Now, after that conversation, Barbara had a meeting with Cy Little on Friday, I believe it was.
Correct.
And you asked Cy to look into what's going on with the mill, with the ownership and all that.
Right, well, he didn't
Yeah.
have to look into it, someone had inquired previously
Okay.
about it a few months ago, and the petition was dismissed for the
Okay.
bankruptcy. So by being dismissed, it goes back. So how that can be, I have no idea, simply because they no longer exist.
Right.
So that's something we would have to get hard copy on, and we would need to hire him or someone to get it completed from beginning to end and have hard copy on it from the AG's office,
Okay.
saying exactly who owns the property, so we know. Because
Right.
right now, and the debt was not discharged. And it's up to, in his words, close to $1 million.
$1 million? I thought it was more than that.
No.
'Cause I thought the town had a lien on it for more than $1 million.
Well, I'm just telling
Okay, all right.
you what he, I don't
All right.
wanna put any words
Okay.
into this that
So
are
these are
not
liens
his.
from the
It could be
EPA?
from, it could be from just the AG's office,
Okay,
from them doing all the work through the bankruptcy and
okay,
the independent legal firm that they hired
right.
to start it.
So
And then the man
is Cy
left.
looking into that?
No, I said we had to discuss it
Okay.
before he moved
All
on
right.
anything. We have to
All right.
discuss it. And I think if this Jim person is actually interested, I think we should do as we did with the ambulance and have legal people handle it from A to Z.
Yeah.
We should not be doing,
I agree, and you know, even if he were to call right now and say he's changed his mind, we still need to settle this.
Oh,
Because somebody
absolutely.
else is gonna come along and wanna do something with it, and we're
Right.
gonna end up in the same situation.
and as far as the state tax is concerned,
Yeah.
he will pay them because he has to get a resale certificate. That I did learn while I was there.
A resale certificate,
Right, because all he is doing is packing them
Right.
in this facility.
Right.
Okay. so
Roasting
he
and
wants-
packing,
Right, but he wants to distribute them. So
Right.
he is reselling what he is packing. So
Okay.
the state requires a certificate from him before he can sell.
okay, but do they charge a tax on that?
Well, I'm sure yearly, I'm sure that's how they keep track of them and when he sells them.
But it's not like a sales tax.
Well, they can't charge themselves.
Okay, all right.
It's a business tax.
Yeah. I think we should ask Cy to pursue this.
Okay.
Now, in terms of who owns the mill, if the bankruptcy petition was, what did he say?
Dismissed.
Then does the Troy redevelopment group still exist?
No, as far as I know, it doesn't. But when it's dismissed, it's as if it was never filed for.
Okay, my understanding going back a couple of years was that Troy redevelopment group filed for bankruptcy, and the bankruptcy itself would cause the dissolution of the Troy redevelopment group. If that's true, then if the petition is dismissed, then they were never dissolved and they still exist.
Yes.
We'll have to see.
Okay? We need an answer to that.
Okay.
And we need to know who the lien holders are and the exact amounts. And maybe we can work something out with that,
Yes.
because nobody, if somebody buys that mill with those liens intact, they're out $1 million on day one.
But here's the
Or
lien
more,
holders.
Yeah.
or more.
Even if we sell it for $1.
But we need to know, what is that?
Them are the lien holders. This is.
Well, there's a whole
the
bunch
letter
Okay,
we
but
got.
there has also been a lot more debt incurred by the AG's office, by the council they hired independently to take this on
Yeah.
when the bankruptcy was first filed.
All right, but let's look at the liens that we know about. Eversource, $3,900, okay? Town of Troy, there's no, $15 million? That can't be right.
No, 1.5.
Wait a
No.
minute. Oh, okay, 1.5 million, yeah, they didn't put commas in there, so, of which 600,000 is secured. Community Development Finance Authority, $196,000. Another one for Community Development Finance Authority for $146,000.
And the totals are on the bottom.
I'm sorry, what?
The totals,
Yeah,
total amount claimed,
okay, 1.9 million.
and there was nothing allowed, and the secured is just under $1 million, 943,000.
That's interesting, because I thought that the liens were from the EPA and the DES.
Can you see that, Kurt?
This is the letter that we got from the lawyers to the Board of Selectmen. And then they attached the people that had the liens against it.
Oh, this is from Cy Little's office.
Yes, that's what. Because I think he was, you might be referring to me when I called him up and asked him questions about that.
No, it wasn't you.
Because I did call him up and I was asking him questions and I didn't get a whole lot of info.
Well, at that point, it hadn't been dismissed yet. The case had not been at this point. This was August.
Well, I called him after I got into the office here.
Okay, so you
Right.
called him even before that.
April this year,
Okay.
which I do have, I called him.
So if the bankruptcy was dismissed, that wasn't discharged.
Correct.
These are all still active.
But that total includes a very large amount from the town of Troy, which we could always waive.
Because
I know, but there's still a lot.
I contacted Dick Baxton. He told me to call Cy Little. I talked to Peter Marr with 103 High Street, called with follow-up. Peter Rose, Bankruptcy Court, District Attorney. Gerald Neiman, Representative TRG. Cy Little. And basically that's when I was told to contact the governor's assistant or Governor Sununu to find out if they're willing to drop their
Okay, well,
portion
yeah,
of
that,
it
right.
and everything like that. And I have not made contact. I think it was almost easier to go there to Concord and meet with them, and I just haven't had time to do any of that.
Well, it's not necessary now, because, and Cy also mentioned, that we could offer short money on the property. I don't know that we would even wanna do that.
What
We
is
have
that?
to figure out what the
What do you
debt
mean by short
is.
money?
A bid. A low bid on the property to,
And I
If
have
it-
it that TRG still owns mill because the state bankruptcy court filed bankruptcy petition to force sale, needs to have someone interested in property. They looked down as a note. And in 2007, granted mortgage to state of New Hampshire from TRG, town of Troy, 600,000. 2005, town of Troy took mortgage. When state took mortgage, town subordinated is now seconded. And that's it. And to contact Andy Sanborn. That's all I got for notes.
okay. But what we need is all debt, no matter what it is. Okay. And Mr. Hansen's first name is what?
Robert.
Do we have an address?
Probably in the file.
Okay, Barb, do you have anything else on the mill?
On the mill? No,
Okay.
no.
Curtis, anything else on the mill?
Nothing on the
Okay.
You're gonna keep that paper?
Yeah, can I keep
Yeah.
this? Okay, thank you.
And there's a memorandum of my phone call with Jim Gillis. You can keep with your other records for the mill. Okay, yes, Bob Morton, Robin Hannett, Melissa Wilkes.
Are they all here? Hey, they're all here too?
All right,
Should we go over chairs?
yeah.
You're up.
You guys want to slide down? Sure.
Well, why don't you come right up to the table, it'll be easier.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I'll see between these, have to buckle on the end and we can.
Well, thank you all for coming in. We invited you because last year we had some concerns about the camp schedule and the completeness of it or thoroughness of it and how it was being adhered to. And we'd just like to know what the plans are for summer camp, which I believe begins a week from today.
A week from today.
Okay.
And so, I mean, could you just elaborate on what you mean about camp schedule?
Our impression last year, and again, it's just an
Yeah,
impression,
yeah.
was that there were times during the period of camp when not all of the children were gainfully employed.
The children were, okay, so you feel like some of the children weren't like being accounted for and weren't involved in
Well,
activities?
not necessarily not accounted for, but you weren't. There was nothing on a schedule at a certain period of time, and they were just kind of hanging around. And again, that's just an impression. We could be
Okay.
wrong, but that's why we asked you to come in and just, last year was our first year doing this
Yeah.
type of a camp.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of a shakedown
How
cruise.
do you structure the day? I'm not there during the day.
So the day is structured, the kids come between 8 8:15 and 8:30, and the first 15 minutes is like free play time because the kids are just coming in, and then we have a big circle time where we talk, like, start out talking about like the rules of the camp and what kind of things we're going to adhere to and how we're going to get along with each other, and remind them that like constantly, and tell them a little bit about what's going on that day, what's going on that week. And then after the circle time, there's a big group game. And after group game, there's snack and water break. And the group game's like a really active game before it gets too hot out. And then there's snack and water break. And then we divide up into activities. There's like arts and crafts often, or often the kids like love to do the bike ramps or go fishing or do kickball or some other kind of organized activity, maybe like capture the flag, you name it. There's like, we did so many different things. And then after group activities, and they can go from, they don't have to be stuck in one thing. Like when they're done with art, they can go with the CIT to a new activity. And then after that, there's lunch. And quiet time after lunch with like board games, and sometimes they just take natural materials and make fairy houses, or play like a quiet group game, and that's like half an hour, and it's quiet time, but just kind of like a downtime. That's a better word for it. And then after that, we divide up into activities. This is a typical day, and there's obviously modified from day to day to fit what we're doing. And then we have often swimming because it gets really hot, and fishing and bike ramps and more like
And
water
boating.
balloon games.
And boating.
And there will be more boating this
There'll
year,
be
but
more
last year
boating.
there was less boating.
Right.
But that's a typical day, but it varies from day to day based on what's
Okay.
going on.
I think what we were looking for was, is there a written schedule? For
Yes,
example,
it was last year too.
we would have like a stack of papers here, and page one would be day one. And it would show from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Who is doing what. And so that, if, for example, if you break them into groups, you have group A, group B, and what they're doing and who's in charge of it.
Okay.
So that if a visitor were to come in, you could show that to them. You could say, yeah, this is what we're doing right now.
Okay.
So do we have that?
No, but
Okay.
we could make it. But the counselors are all going to get a schedule of what's going on and what the
Okay.
activities are. And
And
then,
it does go also to the parents first before the week starts. They
Okay.
have a list of what we're achieving that week.
Yeah.
So they all know, they all get a copy of what's going on.
Right.
So,
and then
Can we get a
each
copy here too?
sure.
week there's a theme, and we have different activities based on the theme of the week. And so I don't know what else you want to hear.
What are some of the themes?
The first week is fishing, and we're having the Let's Go Fishing program come, and then we're doing art based on fish, making spinners and that type of thing. The
Fishing
second
lures.
week is makerspace. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah.
that. It's like the engineering and creating and using recyclables to make art materials and recyclables to make all kinds of things, and making fidget spinners and just different things that the kids are into. The next week is science week. We're going to have a reptile show, do art based on science, do active games. I didn't mean to say science, I meant reptile week. Do games based on reptiles. And, I have been working with kids for a long time, and I find to be too rigid is not in the best interest of kids, because that's when kids aren't learning the most, because really you want to take the teachable moments, and you want to take what they're into at the time and elaborate and build about that. That's really how kids learn, and that's how I've always educated. So I know, I'm happy to obviously give you a schedule, but I also feel like in the best interest of the kids, I really want to follow their lead, because that's how they're going to learn the most.
Okay.
And I want to expose them to as many healthy things as possible. And because, like last year, we had kids that never did art. And so, one day I'm like, everyone's doing art. And the kids who never did art loved it. And they were really into it. And they didn't want to. And I know it goes against, and I don't know your background. I don't know your, where you guys come from in terms of being
They don't teach art in school.
Well, they do once a week, yeah. Yeah. There's once a week art class. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, they didn't do art at camp.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They never chose that as an activity at camp. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes if we never choose something, we don't know if we like it. And there's one art teacher for basically the whole Monadnock region, so you're learning in kind of one way, and it's not, in my opinion, it's not the most creative way.
So we have a traveling teacher.
Well,
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
She goes all the
Yeah,
way to
she-
Gilsum to.
My kids have her twice a week, and then she comes here, and my school's the same way though. Keene does the same thing with our school.
Really?
The same art teachers, 70%, there's no benefits, but it's like a part-time job, it really is, and she does all the schools.
And then has to work at Hannaford
What creative
part-time.
outlets do the children have in school?
Well, they're art teachers leaving, it's her first year, we lost our art teacher last year, because there isn't.
Kids don't
There
have a
is
lot
no
of creativity.
creativity.
It's all
Everything
the
comes out of a book.
specials, you're running into it.
It's
with
not like it
all the
was when we were
specials,
kids, where
yeah.
we had an art teacher and a band teacher in the school. Now they share the band teacher
Yeah,
even.
yeah, they do, and he left, and our
Is there physical activity?
Well, they have gym once a week.
And
And-
recess for 25 minutes.
I really promote the wellness aspect, and you know, like I'm a big advocate of physical activity and healthy eating, and we kept track of the miles the kids were doing so they could keep track for their DeMar miles. I don't know if you're familiar how kids do the marathon over the summer, and I
guess
want them
we-
all to be active, and I've been really straightforward with the counselors this year about like being a role model of that. Last year counselors were walking away when it was time to do physical activity, and then that was making it so kids were less inclined to
Yeah,
be
everybody
involved.
needs to participate. Yes.
Yes,
I agree with
and they're looking at what those counselors do. It doesn't matter what they say, but what the counselors do is what they're gonna
Sure.
do.
I have a question. It's not relatable to that.
Mm-hmm.
Is one counselor having the same students throughout so you're switching?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how often?
Like, so you present the activities of the day when in circle time, you know, and then they can choose, and then they can go to different things. So
Okay,
the-
so the counselor is
They
in
would be
charge
res-
of the activity,
Yes.
and then those are the students they get.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's how it's parceled out.
Mhm.
Okay. Is that the ones in training, or is that the ones we're paying?
The paid ones are in charge of the activity. The ones in training are more like if you needed more paintbrushes, they would
They're
go
a
get,
helper.
Yeah, they would go get more paintbrushes. They would never facilitate any type of activity.
Okay, so how do we keep track of, I guess that's where I'm going with this. How do we keep track of the amount of students that are there and where they are at that moment?
So at snack, say for example, everyone's together. Everyone's together from circle to the game to snack. Then that's when they're like reminded of here's your choices. Okay, here's your choices. Barbara's doing kickball. So you go over to Barbara if you're doing kickball. And Curtis is doing art, so then they'll go over to them, and then they will count, I'll take a count, everyone will
okay.
count, you have them. And you will not have any less kids unless it's been established between you and another counselor or another CIT that these 3 kids are going to go do the bike race now.
Bye, Curtis. Okay, I agree with that. As long as you have a number that you're checking in
Yeah.
with throughout the period of the day so that everybody is accounted for at all times.
And I see your concern. Like last year was my first year, and I feel like, I mean, you've been at the interviews, and then we also had a training today, and I also printed out other contracts, so people have very clear do's and don'ts of what counselors know their responsibilities are.
Okay.
You know, it's basically these are the do's and these are the don'ts, and the don'ts are basically the opposite of the do's and the consequences. And there seems to be, because I guess I didn't realize so many things that I think are common sense wouldn't have, you know, I guess
Yeah,
are
yeah.
not so much
Don't
common
Not so
sense.
much
Yeah.
common sense.
Yeah.
You know, right down to cell phones. Last year, a big issue with me was the usage of cell phones. Some of the staff members were calling me during the day. One of them texted me 166 times in 7 weeks. My wife only did 16 times in that same period of time.
Yeah.
Without asking me any
Right.
questions.
So the cell phones go into a cupboard at the beginning of the day for the staff members. On their breaks, they take them out. So that gives us more accountability. with the kids and sets up a chain of command so that they're not bypassing Robin or Missy
Okay.
going to me. We've also changed a couple things, so if you were to go down to the community center and look out there, last year you'd look around and you'd see all a bunch of white shirts. Everybody had a tie-dyed shirt on.
Right.
The councilors, it said to be, what was it on the back?
Role model.
Role models on the back of it, but she could pass for a 14-year-old kid at 100 yards because she's short, okay? So you wouldn't know who the councilors are. This year, the councilors are gonna wear the same shirts that Curtis, myself, and everybody else wear. They're blue,
The staff shirts.
the staff
Right.
shirts, so that if you go down there, you will see, in a group of kids, you'll see one or two with staff shirts on, so you'll be able to see from a distance.
So it's obvious.
Right.
Yeah, that's
The
a
the
good
other thing
idea.
that we're gonna do, so that we alleviate the problem of not knowing who's down at the park, we're gonna put up a sign at the entrance of the park. If you're here during the day during summer camp, we'd like you to check in with a staff member, just so we know who's on the park, so there's no people peering in the bushes looking at the kids,
Yeah,
wondering
and you
what's going on.
probably should have some kind of a
And,
sign.
and a sign up, right, we're gonna have a sign up book so that we know who's at the park. Not that you couldn't go down there and hang out and go fishing or anything, but if you're gonna go down and fish, we'd like to know you're there.
Yeah, wave, say hello.
That way we know who's at the park and, you know, and it gives us some
Keep your eye
insight.
on
So people are gonna be
whoever
able
it
to
is.
see who the staff members are. We're also gonna have a better handle on who's at the park.
And I did approach anyone that came to the
Right.
park when we were
Yeah.
there, like even if a car came, because people would come, like say they were gonna rent the park, rent the
Yeah,
center,
right.
you know, and they'd be in the parking lot, and so I did approach anyone that was there just to check in and see what was going on, and often it was like, oh, we're waiting for Bob, we're gonna rent this or whatever, but I always approached and made
Thank
sure I
you.
knew what was going on.
Thank you.
So we've changed the security of it. So,
Okay,
so
that's great.
so that people driving by say, I didn't see a staff member anywhere. Well, that's because they all look alike. You know,
Well,
now,
this
now
year
they're
they'll
not,
know.
now they're not gonna look alike. There's gonna be blue shirts and there's gonna be the white shirts with tie-dye that the kids make on their own. So,
Well, and it,
Um,
vice versa too, there was kids that I'm like, what counselor is that? I don't remember.
oh, I came down at the end one day and there's a girl walking around, I guess, I don't remember what her name is, but she was a tall girl, and I'd never seen her before. One of the late arrivals, and she had a staff shirt on because they ran out of the regular shirts, and so she had a white shirt on that had
Role model.
role model on the back, and I'm looking at her going, when did
I
we
remember.
hire her? You know, it was a kid, and she was huge and tall, you know.
Well, I think maybe one thing we could do, the paperwork that you're using this year, probably they could bring it down and drop it off, and we could keep a file on it. And then each year when you add to or whatever, we can update it, and so we know.
Each staff member is going to be issued a walkie-talkie this year so that they can contact each other from wherever they are. in
Well,
their-
that would
in
have
their
helped
corner.
last year with the
Yep.
van situation
It would have
that
been,
you had.
Yep, and they're gonna all have whistles, so that, you know, for emergencies, they can notify everybody, and we're gonna set up a code, you know, 3 blows, get to the rec hall or whatever, and,
And she tells us coming to do the stranger danger too.
right, and Dave is gonna come down and do stranger danger, the first part of the thing there, and then he's gonna test the system a week or so later, just to see if
We're ready.
anybody was ready for it.
Okay, so that's good.
we've
I
got-
think you have a lot,
Right, we've
you've
got
grown
the-
a lot
We've
since
got the
last
security
summer.
taken care of, and,
well, and we have a lot more kids, so we have to be, I mean, there's a lot of kids, there's about 50 kids a day. Yeah, if not more, yeah.
and there's almost 70 that have signed up, but they're not there every day.
Mm-hmm.
We still have applications out there. We don't know for sure, you know, how many kids are signing up. I've had people text me for the last 2 days, when can I meet you to do the paperwork up, and so we got a few kids.
Well, that's good.
It's gonna
That's
be a
why
good
we
program.
have it. That's
So
why we're offering it. And
It's-
thank you
it's a good
for
program.
everything you do.
Oh, thank you all.
It's very appreciated.
Getting back to the schedule.
Yeah,
Sorry, Alan.
A schedule is a flexible document. You know, it's a plan. 1 minute before the first camper arrives, you should have the whole day locked in, but with the understanding that we're probably not going to do it the way it says. But then you make adjustments through the day as you go. But you need a starting point at the beginning of each day.
Yes, and we do have a schedule, and I did we did have a schedule last year,
Yeah.
and I can get you a copy of the schedule.
I'd like to see it, thank
Yeah, and I'll give you the schedule too. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is accountability. You mentioned that a particular counselor won't have the same campers at all times. And that can make it difficult for the counselors to keep track of the kids, because there's no consistency there. Would it make sense to use index cards? And at the beginning of each day, you say, okay, Bob, today, here are your 6 campers. Here are their names.
But they won't be with that person all day.
Right.
But then they
Right.
can turn around and give them off,
Yeah,
hand them off to the next counselor.
but what I'm thinking is, at any given time, you need to be able to take inventory. You need to know where, the campers that you have on this hour, they may not be the ones you had this morning, but between 1 and 2 p.m., these are my 6 campers, and I have to be able to account for them. And there's one, there's one, there's one, I'm missing one. Hey, have you seen so-and-so? Yeah, he just went to the bathroom. Well, he should have checked with me before he went. I'll talk to him about it when he gets back. Does that make sense?
We can try to institute something like that.
Yeah.
It'll be a little difficult.
Yeah.
Number one, kids don't go to the bathroom without somebody with them.
Yeah, they have a buddy.
So, no, not a buddy. They have, if they're down by the water and somebody says, I gotta go to the bathroom, the CIT will take the kid up,
Okay.
to the bathroom. So there's always, in each group, there's,
Oh, okay,
there's,
now I
there's
saw them
always,
going with buddies last summer.
well,
And
At
they were
least
supposed to
one
have
buddy, at least one
counselors
buddy in the
too.
CIT.
It
no,
was,
no one-on-one. Not a staff member or a CIT person will be by themselves with any one kid. That's the scouting rules for scouts. I've been a scout leader. She's been a scout leader, or is a scout leader, and there is no one-on-one.
All right.
And,
And please understand, we're not saying that
Right.
you have to do this.
No, no.
I'm just throwing it out as
Yeah,
a
no,
suggestion
that's-
that may assist
We
with
can look at trying to
accountability.
do that. We can try. We'll see
My
what
thing
we
is
can
no
do.
cards wouldn't make it to the end of the summer, but if
Well,
you
and-
laminated something maybe, because I'm thinking,
Well,
Well,
what?
it would be,
Yeah.
you get a fresh card every day,
It would change
because the
2 or 3 times
distribution
a
of the
The
campers is
kids would
changing.
change, they
What
they
if
do
you,
stagger,
because
I
I
mean,
did Cub Scouts, they have name tags, when you check in, you grab your name tag for the day, be like an index card, but, and then as you split up your groups, you hand your name tag to the counselor, 6 kids in a group, 6 name tags. When you go to switch, you hand the name tags back, next group, take the name tags.
Okay,
Are
the
they
only thing
sticky?
is about that, the kids change clothes
Yeah.
during the day.
they do, and they
I
get,
mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying, they're,
so-
So that's why the council will hold them when they're doing their activity. At the end when they've done changing, name tags go back, you split your next group.
are they laminated by chance? Are they the sticky ones you're
We
talking
can
about?
do
you
that.
could do
We
it.
did just like regular
Like
paper
pins,
ones.
so I'm thinking like,
Because we only did a couple events like this, but you could probably definitely do laminated ones for this. And that would take into account if you had changed, the council's the one holding the 6
But he's
name
got a way of
tags.
doing
She
I know,
knows the
it's
names of
cool.
the kids in our group. When they go to swap, they hand it back to the kids, your 6 name tags. You go to your new group, you split up. And the council, okay, I have Joe, Bill, Amanda, Sarah, and then she holds them to the next group. That way they're not being lost or closed because council's holding them. She also now has all the names in front of her. And that way, especially in the
It may
beginning where
be
you're not gonna
difficult,
remember
but-
names.
Maybe difficult, but
In the beginning, they will wear name tags, yes.
I don't know. Good luck with that one.
I'm not worried.
I mean,
Hey, we'll work on
you can
that.
also do
Yeah.
clipboards is my other thing, where you have a clipboard in each activity, like he's saying, each activity you change, you could kind of mark off, but it's, I mean, we ran into this last year with just getting the kids' names on it, it changes, so some kids come only a couple days a week, so it's ever changing, so, I mean, I could look into some ideas too, and see what I could do to streamline
We'll work on that.
I just,
Yeah.
don't- if I was a counselor there, even if you weren't doing any kind of lists, I always carry this. And if you said, okay, here are your 6 campers, I'm gonna write their names down if you don't give them to me in writing. And then if I pass one off to Curtis and I pick one up from Barbara, I'm gonna make the changes at any time. You can approach me and ask me, who are my campers, and I'll be able to tell you who they are. And I think every counselor should be able to do that. And maybe they can.
Oh, let's give it a whirl, see what we can do. I think we can make it work.
Okay, Curtis, you have anything else?
I am good.
Barbara?
Thank you.
No, I think they've,
I think we're in good
We've-
shape.
Way beyond where they were last year.
We've grown this year, so.
Okay, good.
So-
Does anyone else present have any questions for our guests? No? Well, thank you very much for coming in.
All right.
and good luck.
Thank you.
Avoid
That's
such, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm ready.
All right, next item, bandstand.
Sorry, thank you.
So you're aware of the issue with the bandstand, that it seemed to be listing to one side by a few degrees. So we called Ted Fellows, he went out and inspected it, and he said that, yes, it is leaning a little bit, but he said it is structurally sound, and he says it's not gonna fall down anytime in the near future, so it is safe. Are you agreeing or disagreeing?
I'm agreeing.
Okay. He said if we wanted to fix it, the best way to do it would be to use diagonal braces within the guardrail system. He also said that the guardrail system does not meet code, though it may be grandfathered. He said if the surface is more than 30 inches above the ground, the guardrails have to be 42 inches high.
Yeah,
And these
that's
are-
where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, but I guess we're,
And Alyssa's dad and I did talk about that, and we talked about taking off the top rail or somehow adding to that.
yeah.
Not replacing, but
Right.
adding to get
Okay.
to the.
Well,
to code.
Ted's suggestion was if you do something with the guardrails, that will be the time to go in and do some diagonal bracing,
Oh,
and that would keep it straight up.
okay.
All right, but at this point, no action to be taken, would you agree? Okay.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions or comments on that? No, good. Okay, Municipal Resources Inc. Curtis, have you found anything on that?
No, I contacted Mrs. Stearns there. She hasn't contacted me back.
Okay,
I'm gonna see her the first Thursday in July.
okay.
I'll find out for sure there.
Second driveway on School Street. July 12th will be 30 days.
He still has time.
You said something last week, or somebody said something last week about he's just letting it be overcome by nature, is that it?
Yeah, but it's a paved driveway.
Yeah,
the
that's gonna
first
take
one.
decades.
Yeah. So, and the first driveway actually goes right up to the garage.
Yeah.
The second driveway, they put in the blue stone or like hard pack,
Right.
and it goes to the portable garages things
Right,
to run them. So he actually has two driveways that are still being
Okay.
used.
all right.
So do you know for a fact he's still using both?
When there's a car sitting in the driveway, yes,
All right,
Both
on
or-
both sides.
Okay.
okay, so,
And that was when I went with the ride along with Jimmy. There was a car underneath the carport thing, and there was one still sitting in the driveway on the other side.
all right, so we agreed that we would wait 30 days before we even said anything about it, just to give them the benefit of the doubt. So that's July 12th, so let's table this until the first meeting on or after July 12th.
Okay.
All right, one more issue that I wrote in here. Did we get the word back from Matt Murray? This has to do with the rental income
No,
for
not
the,
yet. Did
for
we hear
Kimball
anything?
Hall and for, so we've heard nothing, okay, so
No,
we'll
not yet.
table that till we hear from him. Okay, and we had nothing under new business other than what was in the folder. That wraps everything up on our agenda.
Okay.
Barbara?
Okay, when I went in to see Si, I did approach the subject of Mr. Hunter. And had he been contacted by Mr. Hunter? And,
Could you speak just a little louder, Barb?
and did he claim
Yeah.
that it would cost the town hundreds of thousands if we were sued by Mr. Hunter? Well, he's never heard from Mr. Hunter. And furthermore, he would never give that information
Okay,
over the phone. So that kind of takes care of that. Oh, Samuel Paul.
say again, please.
Samuel Paul.
Oh.
We talked about, I don't know if there was no agreement that I can find for the director, for the people on the committee, that was put together at the time Samuel Paul was constructed, and that's how we moved forward on it. Okay, did you know that 3 years is the term for anybody serving on the board? Did you know that?
What board are you talking about?
On their board,
On the rec-
The Recreation Committee?
yep.
Oh, why is that?
It operates, it's a state law.
A state law?
Yep, it's 35B.
35B, all right.
Persons initially appointed to the commission shall serve staggered terms. Their successors shall be appointed under the same appointing procedure for 3 years. So it should have been some people served 3, like Bob or you. Other people served 2, other people served 1.
Right.
And then it would just rotate
Can a
out.
person be reappointed for a subsequent
No,
term?
it does not say they can be reappointed.
But it doesn't say they can't.
No.
So that's left up to
Well,
the appointing authority.
Should be able to be reappointed, I would think. You're only allowed to serve a 1-year term.
Yeah.
You can never be on the
Takes you
committee
3 years to
again.
learn the
That
job.
doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
okay,
Hey, thanks
vacancies.
for helping plan last year, but now you're off, so you can't help anymore.
Okay, but no matter what, we're going to follow the law on this.
All right.
Vacancies
Well, I
as
guess we
they,
need to confirm whether there's an issue.
All right. So I was incorrect last week when I said that I didn't think that you needed letters of appointment to the Recreation Committee because they're not on the MS 123. So we do need to continue doing the letters of appointment, but we need to come up with a structure
right.
of showing when terms expire, like we do for other boards.
And vacancies as they occur shall be filled by the appointing authority for the unexpired term. Now, that's all it says.
Okay.
So I guess what we need to do is find out for sure exactly if someone else can be reappointed. If they cannot, we have people that are on the board, and you were never sworn in. So as far as
Well, I come down and get my paperwork, they couldn't find it.
so as far as the state's concerned, you're not even on the board.
Well, the state doesn't get a list of it because they're not on the MS 123.
Well, apparently Marcy somehow, I don't know, she's the one that had all these.
But is this just for town records? Because if it's not getting sent to Concord, I don't think that applies to us, because this is
Well,
a recreation.
let's do this.
No, that's what this is for a recreation committee, for
Okay.
all towns in the state of New
All right.
Hampshire.
Well, let's try this. And since you're on the committee, Curtis, I'll ask you to run with this. Make a list of everybody on the committee and decide who's going to be appointed for a 3-year term, 2-year term, and a 1-year term, so that we stagger them. And then we'll just go ahead and we'll do all the letters over again, because I believe all the appointment letters in the past were indefinite.
Right.
So,
And Marcy has all the sworn in times for the people that are serving at the moment.
all right, would you share that with Curtis? And then just come up with a list and we'll do the appointment letters over. Get everybody sworn. We'll come to a meeting and, well, you can do it right at the meeting.
Well, we're going
Just
to have a
sworn.
meeting tomorrow, actually.
Well, that's probably too soon. But
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
get the list tomorrow. And then we'll work up a structure showing these are the people appointed who expire in 2018, here's 2019, here's 2020.
So at least we're abiding by the guidelines.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. And I don't know, Bob was sworn in 2013. So we have to get this done as soon as possible.
Right, well,
Because he's way
if Curtis gets the structure drawn out tomorrow night, next Monday,
Okay.
we'll have the appointment letters could be all prepared prior to next Monday. Next Monday, we'll sign them all, and then you can take them to the next meeting and swear everybody in.
Okay.
And you can do that as a group, you don't have to do it individually.
Barb, I don't know about Bob because he's an employee.
Right.
He gets paid every week.
But I think it's
He's
for
also
all,
a committee member.
it's for all members on the committee, including the director. So, okay, so that takes care of that. Another thing that I talked about when I was in Sing Sai was somehow if we could take some of the rec committee, not your money, but the rental fee money, and give it back to the town. Why not?
Because we have it in the
No,
documentation.
you have, no, all you have is an article for revenue,
And
which
that's
can be
revenue.
changed, which
And
can,
it's gonna be changed in front of the people then, if it's gonna be changed.
well, of course, it has to be an article.
And I don't see the people wanting to change that. Because
Okay.
this was set up for the townspeople, this is the way they wanted it, and this was for a reason when that building was put together.
Okay, the idea is the building belongs to the town. It doesn't belong to your committee.
I'm not saying we own the building.
Okay, so I think the rental, you have plenty of revenue coming in to cover everything that you do, plus.
Not really.
Well, at the end of the year last year, you had $5,728.06 left at the end of the year.
Correct.
Okay. I think what would be nice would be to write an article and have the revenue for renting the facility go back into the general fund so that the people have some tax relief. Because the people are paying
How much of
for
a percentage are we talking? Because I can't imagine a percentage of 5,000 is gonna change anyone's taxes.
Well, no, but the community is supporting the rec committee,
No,
Well,
the building.
then. they're
part of
not
this, a
supporting
lot of
these
this,
functions.
this is driven by the auditor. The auditor, we're still waiting to get the final word from him. The auditor has told us that at Kimball Hall, where we're renting out a portion of it for helping hand storage, that money can't stay with the Historical Society in Kimball Hall. It has to come into the general fund. So we're thinking, well, we'll just take that $600 a year, and then we'll increase their portion of the operating budget by $600 a year. That makes it legal. So we could do the same thing with the rec committee, but this is actually being driven by state law, as interpreted by the auditor.
Right, well, and another thing too, I think,
Well, nothing applies to the rec committee though. The state law, where
Well,
was
what
the
happens
issue?
is, if the
Where
building
did
is
this
rented
come
out for, say, a birthday party or a wedding reception,
Mhm.
the money from that has been going into the rec committee's 2220 account.
Okay.
So we're still waiting. Now, the auditor didn't talk about the rec committee. He talked about
When-
Kimball Hall
Right,
and Helping
we have
Hand.
a-
But
we
we
have
see
a-
a similarity.
Right, but we have a specific article that was
Yes,
passed.
but if our article violates state law, it won't matter.
It
was
doesn't
approved by
violate
the
state
DRA.
law
It
because
was
Janet
approved by
sat with the
DRA.
auditors and went through
Okay.
the whole fine tooth comb with
Right.
everyone. Earlier this year, back when we were running it out of the cash box.
Right,
And Janet sat there and ran everything through it and made sure that we were running
okay.
good.
Well,
And she said that, and the auditor said at that time that there was no other issues besides running a cash box.
okay, all right.
So, and then none
So
of
I
that,
don't
we've been
remember
doing this
that.
now for how many years, since when this article was first written, back in what? year?
2015.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any issues?
It isn't an issue, Curtis, just wait, let me finish, I have a right to speak here. The taxpayer is paying the fees for the summer camp. The taxpayer is paying all the building maintenance, all the ground maintenance.
As they do with every other building in town.
Correct, but all the other buildings in town do not have community support with money coming in. That building does. The community is not getting any relief when they could.
But they are getting relief with all the programs that we're putting on.
No, they
Okay.
aren't, that's not relief.
That is a relief.
How is
Money's
that-
gotta go somewhere.
Well,
That-
the
that-
bottom line is, it got voted on. So whether you like it or not, it got voted on.
Well,
to
no,
put the money
this
back
can,
into
this
the-
can be changed. An
Yeah.
article can be
Of course it
changed.
can be changed, but it got voted on at town meeting.
And the
And the
point
DRA
is,
didn't
what's
stop
your
it.
point?
My point is, it got voted on and passed at town meeting.
Yep.
That means the people.
That means the people want this.
No, that means at that time the people wanted it. Right now, I have gotten complaints that every year, Sand Dam that was supposed to be self-supporting, or the community center, will never ever be self-supporting. And the community is not seeing any tax relief. It's a burden. It's
So
nothing
if you
more
take the
than a
money
burden.
away from the rec programs, we were not gonna be able to put on any of these functions that we do put on at
Okay.
little to no cost to the town people.
No, you're making a lot of money. $7,000
And we also
alone
have
on the
an
camp.
active rec department that is doing all the work and doing all the stuff for the rec department.
Well, right, but you can
So
say
if you're
that
gonna
about
turn around
any
and
committee
put all
in
this money
town.
into the general fund, is that gonna motivate anybody to turn around and be on this rec department?
What do you mean? Oh, so I'm not supposed to donate my time for the festivals committee because we
If-
don't have the millions of
I'm
dollars
saying
to
if the rec
spend that
department
you
is doing all this time to put money back into the general fund, that's not gonna motivate, and it's gonna take all
do?
the
The
funding
rec
away
department
from.
money isn't going in the general
It
fund.
does go, any functions that we put on goes into
No, it
our
doesn't.
revolving fund, but you're talking about taking that money and putting it into the general
No, I'm
fund.
not.
Or a portion of this money and putting it
No,
in the
I'm
general fund.
not. I'm talking about the town-owned building, the rental money that comes in for only the town-owned building to go into the general fund to give the people some tax relief.
How
But
much
that's
is that
what
per
we-
year?
But that's also where we get the majority of our money to function,
Okay,
to have
s-
these programs.
No, you get the majority of your money from summer camp now.
No, we don't.
Right here.
That's just starting right now, and that's not a guarantee for every year to year. That's gonna fluctuate.
Right, you have more kids
When it
this
was
year.
voted on.
What
with
was the
town
income
people.
last year?
7,000.
Rental income for the community center.
Rental income was $3,125.
All right.
Okay, camp was $7,076.88.
Yeah, but camp is separate.
It's their money.
Right.
Camp
Right.
was also appropriated last
Of
year
the
too.
3,100, is that close?
Correct.
That's
For
right.
rental.
So what you're saying is you want to take 3,100.
Well, whatever
rental
we
income,
make
or just,
for-
we'll say 3,100
Okay,
in
okay.
rental income to put it in the general fund.
Right, so it couldn't, so Janet can take it and put it towards the tax rate. I know it's not a lot of money, but at least it's showing the community that we are trying to do something to help.
Well, I think people want to see us doing something to relieve the tax burden, but I'm not sure how big a problem that $3,000 is for rental income. And again, we already have a warrant article in place that was passed, and people were in favor of it at the time.
Well, right,
Yeah.
but meanwhile, the people have been spending more and more
Right.
money every year
Right,
since that
well.
article was passed. A lot more money.
Why don't you just propose an article to rescind that article and see what the townspeople say?
Yeah,
I don't want to rescind the whole article.
well, why
Well,
don't you rescind
rescind
a
some
portion
of
of it,
Right.
put it out there and see what the townspeople
Or you
say.
could
Well,
word it-
that
People
was
that-
the idea.
people-
Barbara,
Yeah,
you
yes.
could you
people
could
that
write an
compare
article.
to you can vote.
You could write an article that says to rescind that article and replace it with, and give the wording that you want in there.
Well, I would like to do that if people would like to do that. I don't know.
Well,
I
you-
mean, it's just an idea.
you can-
I'm proposing an idea here to,
Well, I'd like to keep it the way it is. I mean,
You
the rec
can write the
department's doing
article,
a lot of good things.
and you can present it to us, and we can discuss it and vote on it. And if 2 out of the 3 of us are in favor of it, then it would go
Okay.
forward on the
all
warrant
right,
next
so
month.
then in the fall when we're putting the articles
Yeah.
together, I will do that.
Right.
All right? And we can try and give back something to the community. It's not a lot,
We
but
are
it's
giving
something.
back with all these functions. You don't understand.
But
The rec
everybody-
department is getting kudos for everything that they put on down there.
Everybody doesn't attend them, Curtis.
And if they do, it's little to no cost. Right
I
now,
know, but what
$25
you're
for a
saying is-
summer camp,
What you're
70
saying,
kids this year.
what you're saying to people is, well, if you don't want to participate or if you do not want to come down, you still have to bear the burden.
But they're not bearing the burden because right now the revolving fund, all the money that we make on all the functions we do and the rental is all self-supporting. So the townspeople are not paying for anything of the functions that we're doing. They're paying for the summer program and the counselors.
I know, but that's not the only thing we pay for.
That
We
is the
pay-
only thing you guys pay for. That's the appropriations. Look at the
No,
budget.
no. There's a building that everybody pays for as
And
far
Samuel E.
as
Paul set up
electric.
another fund that for buildings and maintenance, and he actually put $40,000, I think it was, into that.
It's still
for that.
sitting there. But the people still do pay for the grounds to be taken care of. for
But
the
you may have
buil-
to take care of the grounds regardless. If they want a nice park and everything, people are
Even
gonna
without
do
the rec committee, we have to take care of the grounds.
it. Right.
You're
We're saying that
getting
we're
off
doing
the
all these
point here.
functions and everything, you take the money away from these functions, we're not gonna be able to do the functions. at
That's
little
not
to
a
no cost.
function. That's not a function. Renting
Well-
it out is not a function.
It's a-
Barbara,
Yeah,
I think you're fighting a losing
I
battle.
am.
here. Because,
I am.
you know Curtis is not gonna.
I know. He
and-
won't relent.
And I'm not going to.
So you're for it too.
I
So
want-
why
I
would I
want-
bother to write the article?
There you go.
Well, because I don't know yet what it's gonna say. Curtis is 100% opposed, I'm only about 90% opposed.
So the people aren't going to get any relief whatsoever.
Not from the rental fees from the community center, no.
But there's no other way they can get it without taking money directly from the rec committee.
Well, the budget committee will go through that this year. and
What would be the
we'll-
reduction in the tax rate if we did this?
Well, that's not the point. The point is you're
Was that the
looking
point of
into
your
it.
argument, was a relief to the townspeople? How can that not be a point?
The point is that someone is trying to do something.
Well, and I agree, we should do something. but
Yes.
I don't think taking that money from the rec committee, I think that hurts more than it helps.
Well, it's,
I'd like
they
to-
didn't use it, so.
I'd like to find a way to save a bigger chunk of change somewhere else.
I think it sends the wrong message, trying to take that money.
But it isn't their money. It's the people's money.
According
Well,
to this article,
It's all the people's money.
It's all the people's money, it's everybody's money, and everybody voted.
Yeah.
Everybody voted to have the
But
rec
things do
department.
change.
Now, you can
Things
still,
do change.
Barbara, you can still do the warrant article and just get the signatures and do it as a petition warrant article.
I'll think about it.
And if, I don't know, how many signatures do you need?
25.
25?
25.
If you can get 25 signatures, you can go ahead and put it in and vote on it at town meeting.
I'll think about it. But I don't think that's fair.
What?
That nobody's trying to help where the community center is concerned.
She's trying to help.
It's just,
I'm not sure what you mean.
okay, nobody's trying to help as far as the expenses are concerned. Everything's being pulled, I mean, when that was presented to the community, it was,
It was a gift.
no. When it was presented, it was supposed to be self-supporting.
and it was a gift from Samuel E. Paul, who spent way more above and beyond because he chose to.
But what does the gift have to do with the people in town now paying all the money they are?
They're not paying all.
Yeah, they
That's
are.
what I'm saying. They're only paying for the summer program, the
You
payroll.
only pay for the sub program if you actually send.
I know, we're not talking about just
But
the
even the
rec committee,
grounds-
we're talking about the building itself and the grounds. We are
Which
talking
Samuel E.
about
Paul
it as
puts
a unit.
$40,000 off to the side, and regardless, the grounds all fall underneath Jim.
We have to maintain that building no matter what, and when we voted to supplement what Samuel Paul was gonna put in to build the building originally, the town had to kick in some money too, and we knew that when the building was built, we were gonna have to maintain this building. So we knew that, and the town voted at town meeting to appropriate that money to supplement what the Pauls were gonna put in to build the community center.
And Barbara,
So-
logically, I agree with you. You're right, the rental of the facility has nothing to do with the rec committee.
No, it doesn't.
Therefore, where is the justification for them getting that money? But we voted to do it that way. And I'm personally not inclined to change that.
Okay. All right, let's move on. We could go round and round about this,
Yeah.
just like we did the last time.
Oh, no. You have anything else?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, on the Amnesty Day.
Yeah.
Okay, now, are we going to do that? Is that something that we are interested in doing? Jimmy will go over on that line item for his budget. For the additional dumpster, he is more than willing to do it if we want to try and do the amnesty. I
How
mean, he
much
won't go over on his bottom line
What will
for
it
the
cost?
year. Well, it could cost up to, the maximum would be 3,400.
Here's my concern. I'm in favor of the idea, but we talked last week about this issue we had with the welfare budget.
Right.
And just to review that for everybody, we normally would have budgeted $45,000 for welfare for this year. Last year, we expected my neighbor's house to be up and running, which would have taken some of the burden off of the operating budget. So we reduced the operating budget for welfare to $35,000. Then was the day before town meeting. My neighbor's house gave that money back. We were not able to amend that article to $45,000 the next night because somebody called the question before we got that far down my list. So we're stuck with a $35,000 welfare budget for this year. We're not even halfway through the year and we've already spent $25,000 out of the 35. We're going to go over. We have no choice about whether or not we spend that money. If somebody puts in a valid claim for welfare, we have to pay it. So we're looking to pull that from Jim's budget, maybe from the police department budget. The smaller committees and all that, they don't have enough money in their budget for us to tap into.
Well, Jimmy will have the money at the end of the year. His bottom line will not be over. He
Right,
always
and so
returns money.
when we say, if everybody comes in exactly on budget, then we're gonna be overspent because of the welfare budget. So I'm counting on Jim and Dave and the recreation department to come in a little bit under budget to make up for the welfare budget.
Well, the recreation department is in a revolving fund.
No, salaries is what the only thing the townspeople pay for.
Well, that would be, right, exactly, but that
But
would
they-
have to come in under budget, you're not coming in under
But if they
budget
do
on that.
and utilize the CITs like they were just talking about, doing that, they should be able to come in under,
Under budget for the counselors?
they should be able to, if they utilize the CITs and monitor it.
We've got to follow,
It
we've
might
got
not
to
be a
look
whole
very
lot.
closely. We've got to be very careful for the rest of the year on the budget, because welfare is just gonna.
Well,
destroy
I'm
us.
just, yeah, you don't have to tell me this.
Okay.
I'm telling you what Jimmy told me.
All right.
You told me to check into it, I
Right.
did. So are we moving forward on it, or because he will have to know, we will have to set dates?
If we do this, when will we do it?
We would do it, fall, late summer, fall,
Okay.
August 25th, September 15th.
What's the latest,
One of those
what's the
days.
latest that we have to make a decision?
Okay, it would have to go in Troy Town News, so it would have to be 30 days
Well,
previous to whenever.
the next issue won't be till September 1st. So that's an August 15th deadline.
Should we
Right,
put something
so,
in the Troy Town News and see if people are interested in doing it?
Well, there's a
Oh,
time
we don't wanna do
element,
that.
because they don't do an August 1st issue.
right,
So the next issue to come out
Is
is
September
July
1st.
1st, but that's already locked in.
right, September 1st is next.
So September is the earliest that we can even put anything in now. But Facebook is a great way to get the information out there. I think more people read that than Troy Town News. Well, when would you plan on doing this? Like October 1st?
We could, that would be the latest we could do
Alright.
it. We'd have to do it on a weekend.
But it would be after September 1st.
Oh, absolutely, it
Right.
has to be,
All
because it
right,
has to be.
so,
in Troy
so August
Town
15th, Troy Town News deadline would be the latest date that we can make a decision.
News. Right,
All right. So, why don't we wait until August 1st, the first meeting in August?
okay.
Because then we'll have a better idea where we are with the budget. If the welfare budget continues the way it's going, I don't know that we can afford to do this.
Which is fine.
But we'll see where we are, not just with welfare, but with the other departments. And if it looks like we can afford it, then we'll do it.
Okay. And we don't even know what kind of participation we would get. I'm
Can't be.
hoping, I don't know what kind of participation
Right.
we would get. Hopefully it's good, but we don't know that. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, Curtis.
This weekend they did the tournament, softball tournament. We had a lot of people, teams from all over the place, from Massachusetts, from Maine, from Connecticut, for the girls softball. A lot of people were praising that building, saying we have nice facilities. They were actually going out of their way to say that they are the cleanest bathrooms that they've gone to in any during any tournament. So I let Jim Dutton know that he's doing a good job with the cleaning and people are taking notice of it. So a positive spin-off on the whole the rec department and community
There's
center.
a nice letter on Facebook that they sent to the rec department
I haven't seen
about
it.
the
Yeah, one of
food
the
service
empires
operation.
there,
Doug
posted a nice
Cummins,
thing.
Doug Cummins posted it.
I have not seen that yet, so
I read it.
I did not know about that. But there was, I mean, there was a good turnout. I mean, they had a lot of fun, and they said the facilities are absolutely beautiful, and they said that we're probably gonna pick up some more people from renting.
Good.
Just, I mean, a lot of people were commenting it left and right,
Good.
so.
Okay.
Very clean, very user-friendly.
So what's the surprise?
That was a surprise.
Oh, I was
Oh.
expecting something earth-shattering.
That was a surprise.
We didn't burn anything down with the cooking.
Right.
No, before the meeting started, Curtis said, after we start this, I have a surprise for you. He wouldn't tell me what it was.
Well, I wanted you guys to know that, you know, the community center is being used, utilized. The Diamond Devils they're planning another softball tournament in August, and I think another one,
They wanna do 2 more, I think.
2 more.
Cause they really wanna get away from Brownfield and people really like this last one, so.
So we're taking business away from Swansea now, and everything's coming over here. So the other field that's gonna be going in for the soccer field / softball field is gonna be a good thing. And, you know, we're starting to take business from other places and bring it towards
Good.
to Troy.
So what were your financials for the weekend?
I don't know what the total number is.
$675 for what we sold Saturday. I don't remember Sunday's total.
Is that all from food service?
Yeah,
Yeah, those concessions, we did the concessions.
Yeah.
$1,000, Bob told me today.
about $1,000.
All right.
But I'm not sure if Copo is gonna charge us for the meat because he paid for all the meat, and he was like, we were under the assumption that he was saying that he was gonna donate it, but we're not 100% sure, so we might have to pay for the meat.
That's fair.
So we're only gonna pay for what we used.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
if it's just under $1,000 or about $1,000, whatever the meat costs, and we're gonna get what his charges. So,
Good.
and we used all his equipment too. He bought his
And who was this?
concession for.
Joan Copo, he runs the Diamond Devils softball
Oh, okay.
softball for the girls. He's kind of like the head honcho there.
Jim Coco,
Jim Copo, there we go.
the boy.
I remember his last name, I just know the first name starts with a J.
But yeah, his whole team, they came down, they picked up the field, they did a police call, they took out the garbage out of all the garbage cans that are around the playground. They did a complete cleanup and everything afterwards. So they're more than welcome to come down and do as much business and bring more business into town as they want,
Super.
in my opinion.
Good, thank you. Do you have anything else?
No, that's
Okay,
all.
and I don't. Herb, you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
No? Ben?
I just got a question on the welfare budget, since it's a concern. What is our obligation to any one particular person needing welfare, and how long does that go on for?
Okay.
So I know we have one family that we've been putting up for some time now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so how long do we have to continue doing that? And
I'm
what
not
is
sure
our-
what the total duration
There
is.
is no,
Is that unlimited?
there is no limit.
What we generally try and do, if we put them into the Coach House Hotel, is we try to find them something more permanent.
Okay, but if I were them, I'd just stay there forever.
Well, and that's why we try to find something for them. If we find something for them, they, correct me if I'm wrong, they have to take it. Yeah.
Well, okay, so give me an example. What would we find for them? How do we find something for them
They have
that
to
we
be able
don't
to get
have
a
to
job.
pay for? What's that?
They have to be able to get a job.
They have to be able to get a job? Okay.
There's plenty of them out there.
It didn't make any sense. If somebody goes on welfare, they have to be able to get a job.
No, is
For
that
us
the
to put them
ability to
into
get-
an apartment, they have to have a job. They have to have money to get in there. When you have a
Okay.
bad work history,
Oh.
nobody wants to hire you.
Or a drug history?
Or a drug history, or sex offender history, or whatever it may be. There's tons of things out there that
Okay,
people
so,
won't hire you for.
one of the families that we're putting up now, we could just be putting them up for ever.
Theoretically, we could, but hopefully we won't. What's the
How do we
longest, how many families do we have in hotels right now? Just the one? Okay.
Oh,
thought you
the
said
other one's
two, Barb.
gone?
Yeah.
No, the other one got a job and
Oh,
took care
okay.
of this house
How long have they been in there?
since January. I've tried to ship them to family away. Nobody will take them.
No, they will take a one-way bus ticket to Florida.
Nothing.
We did that last year. So, is there somebody, do you have a point of contact in state government
Mhm.
who was like the welfare honcho for the state? Have you discussed this with that
We
person?
have many times.
Yeah, and there's just nothing we can do. Now, is this like a single mother?
If they come in every week with their job searches,
Yeah.
saying they're searching for a job, then they're following through with their requirements.
Right, and if they meet the requirements, even if they don't live in Troy, and they come into us for help, and they meet the requirements,
They don't have to live in Troy.
To apply. Theoretically, the way it works is, let's say somebody in Swansea doesn't like the welfare officer in Swansea, so they come over here and apply. We have to go ahead and process their application, but we can bill Swansea.
Can we hire
Okay.
the
There's
welfare?
recourse. Yeah, there's recourse. Yeah.
Who cares if you don't like the officer? If you need help
I
in
couldn't hear what
your
you were
community, you
saying.
go there.
Yeah, there's recourse. Yeah, there's
Well,
recourse.
I said we can bill them, I didn't say we could collect.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, usually if they come to me and say they're from Swansea, I say, well, you need to go to Swansea first.
Yeah.
What are the requirements? Not to belabor the point,
No.
what are the requirements for someone that's actually receiving benefit, in order to continue receiving benefit?
Depends on the type of benefits they're getting.
Well, let's use the example that we're talking about right now.
They have to be out searching for a job, trying to find a job, and
Okay.
bring in the searches every week.
Okay, and what do the searches look like? They bring in applications, or what are they?
No, they have a list, time they went, when they went.
How many they required a week to search, how many places?
It's 10 a week.
10.
10 a week.
10 a week, wow. I think unemployment's only 3, isn't it?
It's hard because a lot of these people, they do it online because they don't have gas money to get there.
Yeah.
Where are they getting their internet service?
Most of the places tell you to do your applications online.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is becoming the norm. Okay, and is there any follow-up that we do on our end to make sure that this list of job applications is actually?
It really is technically nothing we can't call there and say, did they apply? Especially like, if it was somebody around here that we knew, we probably could and get away with it, but
Right,
privacy,
just because the HR department's not gonna answer that question.
Right.
Okay.
You don't have prejudice too, wouldn't it, if you did that? Because no employment can't do that.
Right.
It's called blacklisting or something.
And I mean, I've even had them come do work around town to try to get them to go out and.
What is
Yeah,
the,
because
this-
you can require them, if you have a position available, you can require them.
and we've done that, but you can't do that on everybody.
No,
For
if they're
example,
able
what
to
is the
work.
family structure of this one family we have now?
Just a guy and a girl.
And kids?
Nope.
No,
Just a couple?
They were homeless, living in a car.
Is the coach house better than a car?
I don't know. I'd rather sleep in my car.
It's station wagon, that's like a camper.
Yeah, it's bigger than a car, that's it.
Pretty much.
How much is the coach house?
$300 in it.
$285 a week.
Wow.
And you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
I said there's a campsite,
Yeah,
there's
doesn't
a
push up
65
a
week.
sign up on saying now hiring drivers?
No, that's the other one.
Oh,
That's
they
the
don't-
one up here across from Scrap.
Now, do we have, I know you can lean on family members too, are they? Because that's usually a good, somebody that's, doesn't wanna have anything to do with them, they actually can be liable.
By lean on, you mean, we can contact them and ask, but we can't force them.
To pay,
Right, in other words,
they are actually legally liable for their,
families, no.
no. According to the
We
state,
checked that out.
we're
Yeah.
liable.
We're not, we can, this couple that's in there now, we could contact their parents or their siblings and all that, ask them to help out, but there's no legal requirement that they do a thing,
Really?
really. We did, a couple of years ago, we looked into this, remember? I'm trying to remember where we got the, because I was under the same impression, that we could build a family, and it turns out we could not.
yeah.
And was that the course you took?
I read some of the statute.
You can send the parents a letter saying, your child's in here for welfare, it could be paid back, but all the parent has to do is say, we can afford it.
They don't have to say that,
Right,
just
you can
throw the
take
letter
them-
away.
You can actually take them from how the statute read, you can take them to court, and if the court decides that they are able to pay, then they will order them to pay.
Okay, that was not the way I interpreted the statute.
That's
And
how I
but there was a
read the
legal
statute.
interpretation on it that we're relying on.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to remember, I don't think we contacted NHMA. I think it was,
Because there was
An
like
NHMA article.
there was some enforcement, some imprisonment if you didn't then
yeah,
pay after the court order.
I think that's a long time ago. I don't think that's the current way.
Okay.
I wish it was.
That's the statute as it reads now. I don't know what interpretation interpretation came after that, but.
Well, I'll do a little research on that this week.
Do a look at it.
Okay,
Because some of especially on something that's
all right,
seems to be fairly pricey.
yeah,
Some different ways out of that.
yeah.
Just
Be
out
helpful.
of curiosity, they say someone comes from Swansea here. Is there any way we know that they're not already receiving help from Swansea?
I'm sure there is, but Alissa, Kyle's question was, if somebody comes in here and applies for welfare, is there a way that we know that they are not also applying in another town and claiming residency in that town?
Yeah, I have to have copies of license registration, all their bills, everything. I have to have
But
copies of all.
like you just mentioned someone from Swansea coming, how do you know they're not receiving something from Swansea already?
Usually you find out, you
just
you
find-
ask questions and.
Yeah. So I figured, I was just curious. I don't know if there's like a system or,
Yeah, there's
Okay.
there's
Yeah,
a
do
lot
that.
of paperwork, the application's like this big that you have to fill out.
I don't know if like you went there and the computer flags it up as already.
Ben, do you have anything else?
Oh, no, that was it, thank you.
Thank you. Norm?
So how is the neighbor's house supposed to relieve the burden on the taxpayers?
Because it would provide temporary housing for people who's, or displaced.
So they'll have a nicer place to live instead of the.
I hope it will be nicer than the coach house in some ways in terms of cleanliness, but at the same time, it's not a nice enough place that you would say, hey, I think I'll just stay here forever. It gets a roof over your head and some heat.
Now, isn't the insurance on something like that, the policy would be kind of high dealing with just people, different people going in and out of there, or could have a liability.
I don't know.
If you'd like to come attend one of our meetings, you can, but I'm not addressing it here, it's not town business.
Okay, that's a good question. A good point. When do your meetings?
They've been monthly lately.
Okay.
Yeah, what
Her point is that my neighbor's house is not a town function, so we shouldn't be addressing that here. But you're welcome to contact them directly or go to one of the
When
meetings.
it's, when the building is renovated, then it's under renovation now, or?
Okay, we're not going to
Well, there's a
discuss
funding,
it
there's a
here.
funding issue. They're still trying to raise the funds to do that. But once it is, assuming that eventually it is, then if someone comes in and says, we're living in our car, instead of putting them in a coach house, we can put them in our neighbor's house, which would be a lot less expensive. And that was why we cut the budget for this year. And then, were you at town meeting,
The last one.
the last one? When we voted on the operating budget, I proposed several amendments. And I started going down the list, and somebody called the question, and that stopped further discussion, and the budget got voted on. And I still had a couple of items left, including that and Conservation Commission, so we never got to discuss them. So we're stuck with what we got.
Can I have an application?
For,
For the welfare.
well, you can have an application. Yeah. I don't think you're gonna qualify.
Probably not.
Did you have anything else for us, Norm?
No.
Okay, Cobb?
No, I'm all set.
No set? Tim?
All set.
Debbie?
All set.
Adam? If there's nothing else, would somebody like to move to adjourn?
I would like to move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the meeting is adjourned at 7:54 PM.